Hey Belinda, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your address position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we get you back here in your address position, let's first of all take a look at your setup. We can see here that your spine is a little bit rounded through here. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms hang down nice and naturally out in front of you, and the club works out to the ball. So some pretty good posture aspects happening here. But if I were going to work on your golf game, what we would do here is we take your tail, we would throw it out and up. Take your sternum, throw it out, up, and forward. And what that's going to do, it's going to straighten your spine, and it's also going to set a better angle, such as that. Okay. From here, by getting your tail out and up, it might take your legs from being a little maybe too bent to just now unlocked, which is more what we're looking for. And then your arms can hang down exactly like they are, and the golf club can work out to the ball. So we might want to increase the angle relationship a little bit between the arms and the golf club, as we see there. But nonetheless, the biggest aspect here is really getting your spine set into proper position. The other thing too is once we get you more in this yellow position, what you can see is theoretically you would be now standing a little further away from the golf ball than when you were in the red position. And I like that extra little bit there, because what it's going to do, it's going to allow you to move through your impact zone and get the ball in the face of the golf club better, and you'll athletically move through that hitting area much, much better. What we're probably going to see in your golf swing is we're going to see some sort of kind of a pulling away action at impact. And that's due to the fact that we're in this slouchy red position that's too close to the ball. So tail out and up, sternum out and forward, back away from the ball a little bit, and make sure the legs are just unlocked, not bent, and that would be ideal. From here, taking a look at your alignment, your feet are aiming in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Now, theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel. Your feet parallel lines on camera would have an appearance to converge. And with that in mind, we can see that you're sort of set up just sort of down maybe the left side of the fairway. So not really an issue there. The bigger concern with your alignment, though, is at address here. I want you to notice that we can see your left arm. From this vantage point, we should not be able to see your left arm at all from there. Okay? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your shoulders and arms, and you got to turn them clockwise to square your shoulders and arms up to your feet. Because right now you're stacking your upper body. If I were to lay an alignment tool across your forearms are aiming over in this direction, okay, as are your shoulders. And obviously that's not in the same direction as where your feet are going. Okay, so we need to get your feet, your knees, your hips, and your forearms and your shoulders all running in the same direction. And unfortunately right now we can see that your upper body, your forearms and your shoulders are too open. And that's going to probably cause you to swing the golf club a little bit across your body on the way through and out to in kind of swing pattern, and we'll see that in a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and do a split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. Before we go ahead and take a look at the physical golf swing, I've got some color-coded lines up on the screen to use as a visual reference. But the first thing I want you to notice is his tail's out, sternum's out and forward. Look how much straighter his spine is. Okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I want you to notice we can't see his left arm underneath his right arm. So he's got his shoulders and arms running parallel to his feet. So those are sort of the little adjustments I was just talking about. As we go ahead and take the club back, simply want to rotate our shoulders, draw our arms and hands back as well as the club. And we want the club coming back along the red line on plane. Also in the early stages of the golf swing, we have to incorporate some wrist hinge into play, whereby we're going to transition the club head from currently being below and in front of our hands to getting this club head being above and behind our hands. This move right here, this little transitional move, is very, very important to the takeaway. From here, we're now going to work the golf club from red up to the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we either want to have the left arm in the golf club situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V-zone, or physically even up on blue as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable right side, all the while maintaining the posture and the spinal axis that we achieved at address. So what we can see here with Jordan is that his spine is on a nice tilt at about 53 degrees. Well, where was he at address? Well, he was in the exact same position, okay? So we want to create this entire rotational move, maintaining that spinal tilt. And we're also going to be in the exact same position when we strike the ball. So with you, let's watch you take the golf club back here. So as we see your golf club coming back, we see your hands moving outside, taking the shaft of the club and the club head outside of your swing plane. Now, that's very common for people who set up with their arms and shoulders open like that. That's obviously the direction the club wants to move. So let's actually bring it back just a couple frames here, and then I'm going to stop it. So right here, where your shoulders and arms are now, that's where you should be at address. Now your hands should be closer to your thighs, but you finally got your shoulders and your arms running parallel to your feet. But notice the golf club's already moved back about 2.5, 3 feet. So we want the shoulders and arms in this position with the club head behind the ball. So that's sort of what I was talking about with getting your shoulders and arms square. So again, hands and arms have moved outside, as has the club. As we continue to take that club back, we're obviously working the hands and arms way too steep. We want to get some wrist hinge into play, get that club head above and behind the hand, so it looks like you're doing that, so that's wonderful. It's just your hands and arms are way too far out in front of you. So don't be afraid when you draw the golf club back to let your hands and arms and golf club, when you initiate your takeaway, let them swing around you. Let them swing inside. We got to remember, when the golf club swings back on plane along this red line, it's functioning on an arc. And an arc means it's working inside of the golf ball, not outside like you took it. Okay? So from here now, my concern is you might get your arms set too steep at the top of the backswing unless you really start to shallow things out. So we're definitely working our arms back still very, very steep. Starting to shallow it out, not really. I thought you were going to shallow it out a little bit right there, but we're not. So as we continue back here, we can see when you finally get to the top of the backswing, definitely your left arm gets set too steep. I would rather have your left arm a little bit more down towards the yellow line because when we are in a little bit of a shallower position, it helps us come into the ball from on plane. It helps us to return the club back to red. From a steep position, harder to do that and more likely to come in steep and from over the top and therefore attack the ball from outside to inside. Anyways, you've got good shoulder rotation, nice stable right side. You've rotated off the posture axis that you pretty much achieved at address. Arms are just too steep. If we shallow them out, everything would be great. So really, just need to let your hands, arms, and club move more inside as you initiate your takeaway. Shallow out your set position here, and obviously, hopefully, initiate that move from getting your shoulders and arms square to begin with, which will help you take the golf club more inside. Okay? From here, as we create our transition back into the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire our knees and our hips laterally to the target, unwind our core, and fire our hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure we're bringing the golf club from that blue-yellow V zone back down onto red. And that's exactly what we can see here with Jordan Spieth. We can see his golf club returning back to being on plane. Okay. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. This simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind the hands, coming into the hitting zone. And this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone his ability to also hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club, again, has returned back to plane, which is the main criteria in producing straight golf shots. With you, let's watch your transition back into the ball here. So your hands drop nicely. So that's good. They're not really coming too over the top. This is actually really, really nice. So we've got the club to return to yellow. Let's see if we can get this back onto red. So let's go one more frame maybe. Okay, so at this point in time, let's take a look at your lead form and your golf club. So we've got your backwards check mark. Creating some power in your golf swing won't be that much of an issue. The other nice thing is the club is starting to return back to plane. Now it hasn't fully returned to plane like we see with Jordan Spieth. The club shaft is also coming into the ball perhaps a little bit more steep than him. So your club shaft at this point is about 52 degrees. His is about 32. Okay? So a little bit of a different position coming into the ball there. Obviously, when we come into the ball with the club shaft a little bit more shallower, and obviously on plane, we're going to have more power and we're going to hit the ball straighter. So we're not fully there just yet. The other thing I want to point out at this stage of the game is that, let's go back to address for Jordan Spieth. When we came back, remember I talked about that hinge and how important it was? What I want you to know is when he creates this motion coming back and creates the hinge, notice he hits the exact same checkmark position. So right here, his lead form, his golf club, are in the exact same position except for the forearm. Because obviously when we return from the top of the swing back into the ball, we've established more hinge, so therefore we're retaining more angle. And obviously when we come into the ball, that's the slight difference on, you know, the lag versus where the left forearm is. So what we do now is we take this up to the top, and guess what? We return right back into that exact same position, just with more lag because there's more hinge. Okay? But we're right back in that exact same position, and really when it comes down to it, this is the most important part of golf swing. Okay? From here, as we continue to track your club head coming into the ball, let's go ahead and go to the next frame here. Okay, so it drops down to here. So this isn't too bad. So the golf club moved from here. If we just sort of connect the dots, we can get a pretty good visual that your golf club did a pretty good job coming into the ball from on plane, just like Jordan Spieth club returning here, and then it tracks into the golf ball directly from this red line. And as I stated earlier, this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, assuming lastly that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So what we know with you is you're aiming a little left, right down the left center of the fairway, or left side of the fairway. Club's coming down on plane. So a nice thing is you should be able to hit the ball relatively straight based on that alignment, assuming that your club face now squares up via having a good grip. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what your club face did here at impact. Okay, so club face squares up. Looks like you might hit the ball low on the face, so we're not going to get much launch angle. Yeah, so that ball's leaving definitely very, very low. So you've hit the ball low on the club face. The club face has squared up. That ball is heading right at the tip of that arrow there, so it is definitely heading down the left side where you're aimed. But your motion here is a lot better than the result. And the result in what way? Well, the result, first of all, in launch angle. We got to create some launch angle to advance that ball. Your golf swing is so much better than the launch angle we're creating and the final outcome of the ball. So why has this happened? Well, let's go back to what I had talked about right from the get-go. I told you we need to improve your spinal axis, right? Into something that's just a little straighter. But, I mean, you do have some pretty decent spinal position right now. So what I'm going to do is let's just mark where your spine is at address. We know we want to refine it. Okay, great. But the spinal axis is good enough right now that you should still be able to hit the ball reasonably well. So let's go to the top. Actually, what I want to do, too, is let's just put a box around your head. I want to pay attention to your forehead and your chin primarily. Okay, so let's make your backswing, and let's see if you rotate off this axis, and let's see if anything happens to the head. Okay, so beautiful. So you create your rotation, and you pretty much stay on the axis, and you keep your head in the box. Okay? Well, remember I told you in your address position, other than refining your posture a bit, I told you when we do refine your posture, it's also going to put us a little bit further away from the ball. So watch as you come into the ball now. Let's see if anything happens with your spine and your head. So everything's good. So look where your head starts to go. Your head starts to pull away from the ball, out of the box, and your spine's doing what? It's coming up. This is why you're hitting the low part of your club face, because you're in a completely different position now at impact. The whole idea is we want to achieve good posture to begin with, and we want to build a golf swing that functions off of that axis the entire way back and through back to impact. Right now your spine has moved up. Let's clear that off. Has moved up into this position. Look how far off you are from your original address axis, right? Very, very different. Look at where your head is now positioned, right? Your head has come up and away from the ball. So this is why you're hitting the ball low on your face of your golf club, because there's just way too much elevation change from the yellow-red into the blue. Okay? So if you fix your posture in the beginning, you can learn to create a good rotational movement like we see here with Jordan Spieth. Again, if I just clear this off the screen and we mark his spine, let's put a box around his head. What are we going to see when he brings the golf club back? Well, he's going to stay in that position. What are we going to see when he comes back into the ball? Well, he's going to be in that same position. So he's exactly in the exact same spot. The spine and the head are in the exact same spot. So we have to build a golf swing that looks like this in order to get that ball in a good spot of the club face. Okay? So if you learn to improve your starting position, learn to you're automatically now going to be able to swing on a better axis. Now, whether you actually don't still create any elevation changes yet to be seen, but you need to improve the starting position to first find out if you're now creating any fluctuation at that point in time. Okay? And at that point in time, then we can learn how to create a rotation movement back and into impact that doesn't see this elevation movement. Okay? So your golf swing's a lot better than the outcome. If at any point in time you want to work on any of these aspects, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. I'll be happy to structure a program for you. Also, if you're involved in any golf tournaments at all, looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to reach out. Be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Okay? So anyways, hope you had a great day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.